I'm going to sort of kick it off. William Derge will have a few more comments, but welcome. I'm so used to saying welcome to Sky Stage when we start an event. So welcome to our virtual event. I'm Maura Parrott. I coordinate programming for Sky Stage. And for those of you from outside this region, Sky Stage is a pre-revolutionary building shell that was partially destroyed in a fire in 2010. And then in 2016, an artist, Heather Clark, with a team from MIT, created sort of a plant living river sculptural lattice public sculpture piece and put bleachers, benches inside Sky Stage to make it also a venue, a public art and performance venue. So we offer, it's a project of the Frederick Arts Council, and we normally in a normal season, in the before times, we had several series events, one of which was our second Wednesday literature night. And so while I'm on the topic of the before times and artists and performers, as you know, a lot of their gigs are canceled. We're trying to do things virtually when we can, but the Frederick Arts Council does have a GoFundMe if you want to check that out. The website is fredericartscouncil.org, and there's a link to the GoFundMe. The URL is kind of long, but it is, there will be a PDF document with some bio information about our readers tonight, and with some links for the Arts Council and Sky Stage and that GoFundMe. That's for local artist relief. It's been pretty successful, but it is ongoing. So Slant Light Poets actually hosted two of our literature nights last year. And one of them was a collaboration with Lucid Beings Dance, which is a really transformative event. And we have Franki Graham here from Lucid Beings, who will, in a few minutes, who will tell you about something they're working on together for next week that will also be here on the interwebs. So Slant Light is a collective of poets, and it started in Rockville, Maryland back in the 1980s around Wayne Drozynski's kitchen table, I believe, and moved to Brunswick in 2001. We have some of the original members who will be reading here tonight, and members, some of them who are with us here, still active, writing poetry, even though they've dispersed around the globe, some as far as Kathmandu, I hear. And so Slant Light meets on Mondays, and they workshop around Wayne's kitchen table. And it really is, it's about the making of poetry. It's not a read and crit kind of meeting. And so they have been really active around the area, Point of Rocks Art Festival, Brunswick Chocolate and Wine. They've performed, they have collaborated with visual artists. Here they worked with a visual artist on an exhibit with a World War I theme called In Flanders Field that was really beautiful. And they work with dancers, of course, and they have done workshops even at prisons and homeless workshops and slams. So I'm really thrilled that we have them back again this year. And our readers tonight will be Bill Derge, Wayne Drozynski, Nichole Dowlearn, and Mickie Kennedy. And I think that's all I had to kick it off. So Bill, I'm going to throw it to you. Thanks for being here.
Well, actually, I'm going to jump in really quick before we throw it to Bill, if that's okay. Thank you, Maura. Hi, everyone. My name is Franki Graham. As Maura said, I have had the really distinct privilege of collaborating with Slant Light Poets, not just this year, but also last year for a brand new project. And, you know, they're really outstanding poets, but they're also really exceptional people. So I'm really thrilled to be here tonight in support of their literature night. I know that you're really going to love what you see tonight. And if that's the case, we would love to invite you to join us for that collaboration that I was telling you about next Friday, June 19th. It's called Interior Monologues, and it's really about how we are experiencing our lived spaces during this COVID-19 pandemic. And we do that through poetry and dance. So we're actually going to be having a watch party for a pre-recorded event, which the dancers have been working on in their own homes. And the poets, we actually were able to record them reading their poems at Sky Stage. So we were originally scheduled to be at Sky Stage next Friday. We can't do that because of the pandemic, but we're super excited to be there in virtual space. And thank you to Maura for all of your support for that collaboration in addition to tonight. Now, before we jump in, I would like to share some Zoom things with you. Now, if you could quickly show me, we're going to use a little all pupil response technique. I'm a teacher in my heart as well. So a 1 would be, I'm proud of myself for making it on this Zoom call, but I really don't know what's happening. 2 is, I've been on a Zoom call once or twice, but I would really appreciate a refresher. And 3 is, I'm an expert, don't need to hear it. Can you show me where you're at with Zoom? A 1, 2, or 3? Okay. All right, so we're a little bit all over the board. Awesome. So thank you so much. Let me just go ahead and give you a quick overview so that you can navigate your evening. At the bottom left-hand corner, you're gonna see a mute button. It's supposed to be a microphone. It's a little oval and a stand. If that is clicked red with a slash through it, you are on mute and everybody in the room can't hear. Most of you are muted right now. If you do want to say something, the whole room will be able to hear you. You would just unclick that button and we would be able to hear what you have to say. We're going to ask that while the poets are reading that you please don't be off of mute. We ask that you stay muted during that so that we're just not distracted with any background noise or anything like that. There's some different viewing formats. We were talking about that earlier with, there's the speaker view, which means that whoever is talking is nice and large in your view, or if you have gallery view, you should be able to see everybody that's on the call. And you can toggle between those. You'll find that button in the top right-hand corner. The one that you are not using is the one that is displayed. So right now I'm in gallery view. So if I were to click speaker view, then my picture would pop up really big as the one speaking. I'm going to be using a feature called spotlighting. I'm going to be doing some behind the scenes Zoom work for our poets tonight. So I'm going to be throwing the video of the person that's speaking up onto the screen, in which case you'll be able to control how many squares you see on the side, but you won't have the full speaker versus gallery view, just so that you're aware. We have a chat feature, so if you'd like to throw in any questions for me as the facilitator, I will see that in written form. It kind of works like Messenger on Facebook, but you can feel free to use that throughout our evening. We ask that you keep your video on if you don't mind, because it allows us to kind of feel the energy of the group and see reactions, and it feels a little bit more like we're all in the space together. But of course, if you don't want to be on video, we honor and respect that, and you would just turn your video off in the same way that you would mute or unmute yourself. So that's totally up to you and whatever you're comfortable with. Thank you for letting us be in your homes with you tonight. Now, applause is kind of a strange thing in virtual land. So you have some options. We can use what our deaf community uses, which are some silent, yeah, excellent. Some silent applause if you'd like, or if you want to, give some poetry snaps, we would see and appreciate that as well. But I also want to share with you this really exciting thing that Zoom has, which is the reaction button. So I'd actually like us to practice now. Down on the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little smiley face with kind of a plus on him or her, and it says reactions. And if you click on that, you get the options. Yeah, I'm seeing some people do it for either clapping hands or a thumbs up. And so feel free to use that whenever you'd like. Now, our poets, they were not, well, it's mostly just Wayne, I'm calling him out on this, was not a fan of the emoji at first, but he has come to like it. So, but feel free to use that as well. It will go away if you click it. After a few seconds, it disappears, so you won't be interrupting the next poet. And then finally, before we actually jump into the poetry tonight, At the end, the poets would ask that you unmute yourself, get a refill of your beverage, and then hang out with us and offer some feedback and hang out for conversation. We really appreciate that. Again, the virtual format sometimes robs us of these connections, and we know how important that is. So if you have some time and you'd like to hang out, the poets are here and they would love to chat with you. I think that's all. Oh, the reading goes for about 45 minutes. So we invite you to kind of get comfy, take notes. If you're a visual learner like me and want to write things down, you can, or just sit back and listen, whatever makes the most sense for you. Now, Mickie is gonna pop into the chat a written version of the poetry. So if you would like to read along, and he just did it, which is so cool. If you'd like to read along with the poets as they're reading, and they're all in order there for you, you can. I found this really helpful during our practice, and we thought that you might enjoy that as well. So you can find that by clicking on the chat box, which is at the bottom of your screen. And there's a link, and if you just click on that link or copy and paste that into your browser, it'll take you to a document where you can see that. You can access that the whole Zoom call.
I can't help you right now, I'm on.
Okay. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna actually go ahead and mute everybody. All right. And you have the power to unmute yourself. And we'll toss it over to Bill.
Hi, I think I'm unmuted. Right, great. Hi, I'm Bill Derge. I'm going to say a few things about our presentation tonight, our reading tonight, just to clarify what it's all about. 7 Rooms was hatched by Slant poets just as the quarantine began. It records our reactions to the coronavirus, the self-isolation, the social distancing, and a lot of other stuff in a lot of ways that only the arts and poetry can do. So we hope you enjoy our efforts. So with no further ado, we'll go on. This first poem is called Now. Now, more than ever, you feel the press of time on your shoulders. You have been given a mile when you needed an inch, cake when all you needed was bread, no ends and no means. And you remember the times of no time to do what you were always meant to do. Here it is, served on a silver platter. Time has been open to you like a Red Sea divided, to the endless crossword jigsaw puzzles, rounds of Scrabble and Clue, all the premium channels you used to pay for, all the carry-out gourmet meals to die for, if you had time. Quiet time, the time for serious meditation, the time for love, to make love without inhibition, to become self-consumed without contrition. You never really believed this was true. Ask, and it will be given to you. Be careful what you ask for. Be wary of the door without a lock, without a knock, without an RSVP.
To get us inside. Boredom, my prime mover. I would spin my dad's records. Carole King, Herb Alpert, Hot Butter. When a commercial urged me to celebrate the moments of my life, I made instant coffee and cleaned the entire house with clenched jaws until a headache sent me to a dark bedroom. Basic cable was new to us and short-lived. A friend who owed my dad a favor rigged our box, but Mom was convinced we'd all go to prison, so she made him switch it back. One day I put my head to the window and simply stared at a tree until the leaves went blurry.
What happens next here is a poetry form invented by James Hopkins, a guy who happened to be here tonight from Kathmandu. The idea came out when the telephones first started doing messaging and you were limited to a certain number of characters. We took 148 characters. It's narrative, exactly 148 characters, including spaces, narrative, and has at least some kind of rhyme in it. I've used them to journal in a couple different places, and I used them to journal through this time of being quarantined. So what you'll hear intermittently in here is a couple of 148s. April 5, 2020. Amplified, my heartbeat fills the room. Waves sloshing over a boat aground. In the hollow of the sound, the technician cups a seashell to his ear. April 9, whiskey and ramen for COVID-19. Rubber gloves pushing a shopping cart. Some of us already keeping 6 feet apart. A guy in a pickup shakes his head. April 13. I meditate for the first time in a week. I make one last grocery run. Buy a donut. Italy is locked down. Shopping with the permission of the police. April 17. The windows come. I unwrap them on the porch and wipe them down. Plastic is 3 days. I paid Vince in advance. He keeps working because of her cancer.
The Fix-It-Up Chappies. 1984 wasn't so much a cautionary tale as a blueprint for a new America. The only people not getting rich in this scenario are the tired and the poor, the huddled masses who live vicariously through capitalist vampires sucking their blood, but who look like them, or more like them than immigrants seeking out their own opportunity. The truth can be found in a Dr. Seuss book, where the star-bellied sneetches are identical to those without stars, but there is a belief that the star bestows some special status until the plain bellies succeed without one, and then not having one becomes in vogue. In the end, they learn that having or not having stars, like the color of your skin or where you were born, does not matter, but that it is a children's book and this is America, where citizens complain about the loss of good-paying jobs, while immigrants become late-night convenience store clerks or hotel maids, and the jobs are simply there for the taking. There are things a star-bellied sneetch just won't do, like clean toilets or ring up sodas at 3 a.m. But for every millionaire politician with hatred in his agenda, a vote for fixing what's entirely not broken, a vote against the minimum wage scapegoat. Donald Trump demonizes immigrants while employing thousands in his hotels. This is just good business sense, he says, or scoffs it off as fake news, depending on his mood. The truth is the rich don't care about immigration. They're just jockeying to agitate and strengthen their base, playing each side off against the other, surreptitiously sliding profits off the proverbial table. As long as each side sees the other as enemy, they won't recognize the common foe in their capitalist overlords, the fix-it-up chappies, who plunder the true opportunity from all sides, simultaneously selling star-on and star-off machines through the guise of manufactured outrage. A woman in a drugstore confronts a girl talking Spanish with a friend and screams, "Speak English." The video gets 1 million likes and 1 million dislikes and grows, the scorecard of an orchestrated distraction. The most expensive wall being built is not between America and Mexico, but the one growing in the hearts of our people, never mind the lasting taste in the back of one's throat a gun carried into a capitol, a mask not worn in a store. The world's billionaires made record profits while the rest of the world collected unemployment and feared for their lives. All the while, the star machines are being retooled to make a vaccine.
Nothing rhymes with any of it. Empathy is a Travel Smith sports coat with a hidden pocket for my wallet. I heard a poet in a Zoom reading complain he couldn't think of anything that rhymes with COVID-19. I lock others' grief in a work-from-home solution by Dell, a fish tank monitor of freezing Syrians. In the makeshift tent, the baby goes hot, then cold. The father is out trying to find someone with a car. A diorama of refrigerator trucks, temporary New York morgues, people leaning against hospital walls, too tired to think, too tired to decide. The mother of George Floyd's daughter trying to decide what to wear for TV. Everything she owns is laid out on the unmade bed. Writing a poem is like refinishing the hardwood floor, sanding out 100 years of cigarette burns. A housewife who is dead now picked the wallpaper in this closet. Her husband, new and newly home from the war, was cut in half in the railroad yard at the end of the street. Every day, I read the poem of the day on poetry.org. Words are humanity's first line of defense against the way things really are. I took a break from a card game once in college to march with words I painted on cardboard. Cambodia. Now, suburban sunlit windows and the reflection of a gentrifying poet in the floor. Someone lucky enough to own a pen. Someone lucky enough to own a pen.
A distant lullaby. Dulles flights in and out every 10 minutes, give or take a few. You released the ball you habitually threw at the driveway to watch it roll toward the street and throw me into a tizzy. Plane might have been your first word. Who remembers? Maybe it was sun or bird or lion. The mowers roared, leaf blowers played a ditty until the bird seeds budged, then rolled like tumbleweeds into hiding. Now the idling engines of the Ups and Amazon trucks are all I hear, and the heat pump fan has become my mantra.
James, are you okay to read?
Oh, I'm supposed to read now. I'm so sorry. Okay, sure. Yeah. Yesterday, at breakfast, she wouldn't talk, which is odd for a woman who is deaf and mute. But after 16 years together, I know this means something's up. So I asked her, what's wrong? But she turns her head to one side, the side where the eye has gone dark, punctured by a scythe on a grassy green day. Still, she refuses to speak. I'm making a smoothie in a black Phillips blender, 1.5 bananas, a mango, a kiwi, and some bright green spirulina from the Saturday market here in Kathmandu. She loves kiwis, so I put an extra one in. And I asked her, did you have a dream last night? What I mean to say is there have been parrots hiding in the tree outside the kitchen window. Sometimes two and sometimes just one. When there are two, they play together, they kiss and preen each other's feathers. They nudge each other without saying a word. Just green leaves and morning and something that might be called love in the right light. Finally, she says, I saw your mother last night. And by this, I know she means that she dreamed of my mother and I'm in trouble again. Oh, really? I smile. What did she say? She was dancing, she says. My mother never dances, I say. She always dances with me, she says. And last night she was dancing in the living room with her friends. I'm always happy for these messages from Mom, and I'm happy that she has friends now. She told me she was happy, and she told me that we should get married, she says, and she turns the one good eye my way, the one eye that death has not yet visited, the clear eye that sees past the hills and the Himalaya and right up to heaven, and I offer her a smoothie in a glass. The smoothie is sweet with green kiwis and mango, and something that might dance on the tip of a tongue. She looks directly at me now, waiting for an answer. I take the wooden chair beside hers, and there may or may not be parrots in the tree. And now I put my arms around her, just so, knowing good and well that it will be enough.
Mother Sundance, March 7th. The theme is denim and diamonds, but I'm wearing a black dress and a pink sweater. My 4-year-old son boasts a pink t-shirt with gray suspenders and a bow tie. He and his little friend Micah hold hands, hop up and down to the music. I swoop him up, dip him, kiss his cheek. The buffet has chicken nuggets, mini corn dogs, and a big bowl of ketchup. There's also chocolate hummus, which he immediately rejects for s'mores fixings. I look at the marshmallows, try not to imagine how many sticky fingers plucked one and then put it back. A mom at our table says they've all been sick. The boy wipes his nose on his shirt. The DJ is playing a happy song about horses. We stand in line for a photo, but the whole time he begs to run in the grass. Outside, boys are burning sticks and playing in the coals. Our kids chase each other in circles, while inside, moms slow dance with their children, holding them tightly, dreaming and dreading the passage of time.
The Maple Street Dancers. Light sifts through the window of the front bedroom of a cottage where the daughter of the man who built the house 65 years ago brushed her hair in front of a vanity and dreamed of the big city and performing on Broadway, where her 2 sons later debated the virtues of wood versus aluminum baseball bats from their respective bunk beds. Their mother now teaches dance at the local high school, packing up her dreams each year with the graduating class, hoping one of them makes it. The boys are grown and have moved on, the house now owned by a young couple who have decided to turn the room into a nursery, but are waiting until they've made it past the first trimester. It's a girl. They paint the room yellow with white curtains. A light in the corner shines images of dancers on the wall as it rotates. It plays a song just familiar enough so as not to have to pay a royalty. She will grow lean and tall, learn to dance herself, and take theater as a freshman at high school. Her teacher is the builder's daughter who thinks about retiring, but when this girl dances, decides she wants to give it more time. The teacher never knows that they sat in the same room dreaming the same dreams, but she knows this girl has something special, that when she sends her off in the world in 4 years, she finally stands a chance. The bedroom sits empty for a time, then a single mother moves in with her son, turns the bedroom into a home office where she sells industrial solvents on the phone. In the late afternoon, when the sun slides over the tree line, she adjusts her blinds and sometimes spins in the center of the room for absolutely no reason at all.
Indications. She walks long distances like a religion. She comes back with a stone, half quartz-like, and the other half glass, strikingly clear. Where did you get that? She places it on the table and gets her garden gloves. There is nothing like this shown in my laptop. A cat jumps up. I trace the shard in my poetry notebook, not fused by industry, a meteorite. Our opposable thumb is the need for answers, stories. An unusual rock arrives at a house in Brunswick. The progeny of road molecules gone parasitic migrates from Wuhan. I picture the rock on the sill of the sun window upstairs in the summer, moving to the downstairs wood stove in winter. In the future, I picture visiting her and the cat and the unusual stone she carried home with her. A hive of instant Ryan homes is being built where the colony of trees she liked was plowed aside. She found this between some Sunday silent earth movers. I picture her and it crossing an acre of bare-filled dirt. Her house is a mile from the river, but when she comes in, after making the garden right, she tells me somehow a single frog has found the pond she designed for frogs.
Nest. Drawn back to an age of exploration, to where my movements are caught in a mitered plot of flat earth and end time, where time is no time, like the present. The trees behind my house have become my orient, and the open spaces my seas. Given all the time I need, I could count all the leaves on the lower branches or read the scars that growth and seasons have left on the bark. This morning I found a nest dangerously set too low in a cedar. I pulled down the branch like a catapult, careful not to spring it back. Empty, of course, at this late date. Pine needles lined with down and strips of insulation from a construction site. One side caved in, the occupants forced out. Warm and cozy as a womb, which I suppose in a way it was. It had served its purpose well. Now it sat barren for the duration, an Easter island abandoned by its natives, indifferent to discovery. Gently, I let it swing back, glad that my cats, like me, are too old to care where the natives went.
Possum. Stiff, staring at branches. I smell like decay, a natural protectant to ward off strangers. There are no cars. We walk in the center, confident but wary. At night we drink and play songs to speak in code. Hide outside to smoke and cry. Pretend to plan for an apocalypse. We scroll through news between panic thoughts, like the cough isn't coming from the Marlboros, but something worse. I hang upside down by the tail, hiss at my son about his schoolwork. Let the trash pile up. Laundry can wait. Does a virus know whether you're really dead or just pretending?
The Legend of Possum Man. In the backyard, on a moonless night, a rustle of leaves as he scurries. Nearing the back door, he stands up and adjusts his front paws to test the doorknob, which I had fortunately locked. His tongue tests the air before he lets it seek the latch, which he succeeds in releasing, his frame bending to the door jamb. He enters the kitchen and opens the fridge, his eyes squinting against the bright white light. He collects the ingredients for a bologna sandwich, heavy on the mustard. He takes small triangular bites and drinks a bit of cool water from a bowl. I awaken to the sound of a potato chip bag being opened. I enter the kitchen with a baseball bat in hand. He hisses. I scream. I make contact to his head and hear a snap. He falls to the linoleum floor, dead. I call 911 and they advise me to wait on my neighbor's porch for the police to arrive. When they do, Possum Man is nowhere to be found, his secret power being the ability to play dead when confronted. I kick myself for not checking for a pulse. I buy a deadbolt for the back door and check online for other sightings. A farmer in the adjacent town who lost a 25-pound bag of dog food to something large. He reckons bear, but I'd reckon he'd be wrong. Possum Man is heading back to Western Maryland, where he's from, a town called Brunswick, where under the cover of train crossings, no one can hear the overturning of garbage cans. The unnatural union between man and beast walks upright in a trench coat, where from the back, a pink length of tail peeks out, just a whisper from the ground.
April 21, 2020. Ageusia is a symptom in the otherwise asymptotic. It sounds like a Zen goal. The tongue can speak, but doesn't distinguish between bitter and sweet. April 22. A virus is not alive, so it can't be killed, but it comes knowing things like that a cough is a bus. AI comes from the future to meet it, around us. April 23. Bleach dismantles it. 4 days outside a host, it falls apart. Yet it hitchhiked 1 million bodies here. Succeed or decompose. Not even a brain to care. April 27. The refrigerated tractor trailer in front of the hospital is a temporary morgue. At 6 a.m., a doe and fawn are walking an empty street downtown.
Masquerade. We huddle inside, wandering these same 7 rooms. Slow dance to songs of comfort. Sometimes I cry in the bathroom, where my mom used to put on her face. Death masks of plaster and wax were once kept as mementos of the dead. Now comically, or tragically, I don one, of ill-fitting cloth, hand-sewn in pretty sunflower patterns. A ritual of protection disguised as entertainment. Like the plastic Frankenstein head my son wore to gather candy, in the tradition of scaring spirits that might want to wreak havoc before crossing over. In Africa, they wear animal shapes to communicate with their ancestors. Drum beats heard from beyond. Here, armed robberies are on the rise, as thieves take advantage of the requirement. A man dressed as the Reaper wanders the beaches among trichinis, a reminder of the uninvited guest.
Masks for sale. A local big box store, you know the kind. They sell expired candy, batteries, and paper and baby wipes, toys that went out of fashion in the last century. Indiana Jones whips and Zorro swords. Has advertised in its weekly flyer a treasure trove of masks fresh off the boat from China and Thailand, where they're no longer so much in demand. But before you stand in line 6 feet apart, let me insert a caveat emptor. I once fell for an ad from that store that touted a brand name coffee maker for $5 and a few cents. Lucky me, I got my hands on one. Turns out it was the only one. I took it home and tried to plug it in. No go. A Type D plug, only good in India. I had no plans to go to India. So what masks they have may not have all the protection you're looking for. Don't be surprised on gaining entry to find whole bins of masks of Mickey, Donald, Princess Leia, the Beast, Horton who heard a who, and Casper the Friendly Ghost. By Halloween, this will all be past. And don't forget, on sale while it lasts, candy corn from 2014.
The Illusionist. Magic is more than a hobby you picked up after a gift 10 years ago from mom and dad. It is the difference between the thing I accuse you of and the thing you say you no longer do. The magic in the air is that you are still alive, still a chalk dust cloud of smoke and mirrors. The rabbit that emerges from the hat sitting on the floor is not from Wonderland, yet you see it without question. Seek out the bottles that say drink me, as well as those that do not. The greatest trick you've never performed is the one where you make temptation disappear, but instead all the 20s from my wallet, which I had started keeping in a new spot months ago. Last night you stayed in and didn't seem high. A white dove emerges from a hoodie on a hook in the kitchen. I collect it between my palms and hold it close to my chest, an argument of heartbeats between us. I step outside into the shock of morning chill and release with it prayers. We never mentioned the wreck or the girlfriend you killed. You deserve more than torture and snippets of numb relief. You deserve a custom trick, a headliner act, and an assistant who will slip into the box and trust you will not saw her into pieces. This afternoon, when you wake up, I want to talk about the accident. Exchange the card in your pocket, a joker of hearts, with something calm, an 8 of clubs perhaps. We are still brothers, just despite the many slices of distrust. I want to see you break out your coat and tails in the center of the living room. Show us how you can open a phone book and immediately pull out the number that rings to a cell phone, where the girl who no longer answers stands up and claps her hands.
April 30, 2020. She says she's saving rubber bands for my future ponytail. Her San Diego Jazz 88.3 on the radio. We sit at the table and play with modeling clay. May 4. COVID could be the bleakest stretch we cross. Some hard-earned retirement savings lost. She wonders if I don't want her to touch me until it's over. May 6. Themes of the Decameron for a plague: intelligence, fortune, desire, and magnanimity. To win in this panicked economy, Goldman Sachs advises 13 stocks. May 11. From each empty upstairs window, the air looks bright. The curtains are piled on the floor by the washing machine. Dear Americans, please stay inside.
Pushpin census. The priest from Ann Arbor takes communion at the kitchen counter. Shots of vodka and demons exorcised from a parishioner's bedroom. A curtain of goddams and oh my gods billowing in the dark pleats of the night. Each morning the worn creases of a grocery bag about to spill secrets. The staircase to the lobby, wet paint, tacky to the touch. An unhappy bookkeeper and an idle checkbook spent afternoons at the Oaklawn Park horse track. The police tape removed from his door so that the landlord can air out the room before putting it up for rent. Already 2 calls to see how long before it will be available. A pocket watch from a dresser on temporary loan to a leasing agent who checks the bedroom closet. A woman interviews herself at the bathroom mirror, a change of previous city and only going by her middle name. A push-down fear emerges, so she rinses it down the sink along with remnants of the morning's cup of coffee. Despite the move to Cleveland, she worries the restraining order won't hold him back in Philadelphia. In eastern North Carolina, each time it rains, the clay road out front of the house is reduced to ruts and tractors. He thinks perhaps this year the county might pave it, as there's 2 new houses across the street. He'll settle for gravel, knowing his chances are better during an election year. A man from Iran, a civil engineer, drives for Uber and has given up his own dreams for those of a daughter who already has a better life here in Atlanta. The ability to go to college, wear makeup, keep beat to her music with a pen while she shuts out the world, never knowing the cruel lottery of her birth. At a used bookstore in San Diego, the owner is barely keeping it together. Even the book clubs aren't reading, not ordering crisp copies to have a level place to set their wine glasses. A young woman brings books from her father's apartment, a series of first editions he doesn't have enough money to buy, not enough desperation to take for mere pennies on the dollar. At a doctor's office outside El Paso, brochures on why she should consider Botox, just getting a mole checked, and she decides why not. A smoothing of crow's feet at the eyes, and something for her mouth when she smiles. She uses the credit card in the back of the wallet, the one she's been saving for a transmission that has been slipping. We are all respected ends of a song that plays in arrears, an errant shopping cart in a grocery store parking lot where all liability has been disclaimed on a large metal sign. Today's horoscope is circled in a newspaper you fold and place on a coffee table. A thread lingers from a sewn button that I have saved for you to stretch and clip.
Patue mi patuissimi. Uncle, my best of uncles. According to Wikipedia, during the Roman Empire, children in trouble would call the words out. Are we the new Rome? An eagle soaring over the ruins of the middle class. At the coffee table, my Uncle Kay was tying bait, and I found a trout hook in my wrist when I tripped. The barbs had me writhing like a cutthroat pulling against the line. He had a cockatoo that liked to eat seed from his shoulder and wander the house to pester his mother. The white iron cage sat next to the swamp cooler above the fish tank atrium. Worldwide Words attributes the idiom, say uncle, to the children's pages of an English newspaper where a parrot exacts revenge. Today, Uncle Sam, Uncle Walt, and Uncle Tom point fingers at each other, wearing the Corona di Cristina. We give Caesar his due and wash our hands of it, bent in a headlock as the barbarian at our border pounds its chest.
May 13, a line down the parking lot to buy guns. Non-corona deaths, domestic violence, overdose, suicide. So we did without the meat and cursed the bread. May 14. Even I went up to the Eagles some Saturdays for a TV game. I picture the newly unemployed flipping channels from the couch in an empty living room. May 17. A New York restaurateur donates steaks to the fire department. The news has a pic of the owner and the chief shaking hands. We have lost our minds. May 19, white people protest with AR-15s. They protect a woman who reopens her tattoo parlor in defiance of the quarantine. Law enforcement steers clear.
COVID comfort. It's a relief somehow to know that you're not a living thing, more the cousin of a rolling ball of fat moiling around a grease trap that melts like a wicked witch under a tap of hot scalding water. What a world, what a world. More like a mustard gas through which we charge with empty rifles and unfixed, unsharpened bayonets to face anything that resembles a human face and exchange Easter greetings, mask to mask. A relief to know you can't reproduce, but like a eunuch with his jewels in a jar can only serve until, having filled his master's every wish, he's no longer of any use. Lower than a basement mold, than the rotting carrot and cucumber peelings that clog my drain, than the fungus that eats my feet. You have no claim to be one of us. I'm ashamed to say I pulled some pages from that rotten book of segregation to keep you out. You will never be a member of our crowd, never be invited to pool parties, proms, and debutante balls, to claim a stool at a lunch counter, cheerlead on our basketball team. We'd rather close all the schools before we let you in. I wouldn't give you the leave I give a common fly to eat my shit so that all her maggot children will survive. I would kill you if you could die. I would waterboard you if you could breathe. I would sow the ground with salt if you sprouted stalks and leaves, pour lie in your eyes if you could see. I would crucify you if you were a Messiah and watch all night to make sure you didn't rise. Yes? Oh, I'm still on. Well, on behalf of Slant Poets and Sky Stage, thank you for your attendance and your attention. We'll stay on for a while if you want to hang out and offer some comments or just chat. Thanks again for coming.
I'll go ahead and unmute everybody, so feel free to chat.
Well, thank you guys. I'm going to go get a beer, but I'll be right back.
Bill Durkee, I'm sorry I mispronounced your name. Thank you. And
Hey, it's all right. There are like 32 ways to pronounce it.
Derge. I thought to myself, I did all these years. I'm glad it wasn't me.
And thank you, James Hopkins, our fifth reader.
Sure, absolutely. Totally fun to meet some other people. It's lonely here in the house all by yourself with no one that speaks.
Oh, yeah.
What time is it in Kathmandu right now, James?
Now it's 5:42 in the morning.
You look like it's 5:42 in the morning.
Yeah, I feel like it. So great to see you, Bill. This is
You
so
too,
fun.
man.
I thought he had just gone there and then he was back, but that's interesting. Never there.
I just wanted to say something that I greatly appreciate the work that you've done, and that I was profoundly moved by that experience, so moved that I couldn't remember to wave my hands or put up an emoji. So, thank you so much for that. It was a real gift for me at this time.
Thank you.
It doesn't have like they're not seeing up like you right now, are they? Okay. You have to give them permission to.
Yeah.
Good. It's very good.
Nichole,
Cindy.
it's nice to meet you.
I see.
I'm Wayne's son. So that was my kitchen table for a very long time when the poetry group was first coming up. But I don't think I've heard you read yet before, and I thought your stuff was excellent. I really appreciated it.
Thank you, Drew.
Thanks.
And Mickey and I were first going to that thing. He was just a kid. He was a fucking kid. Makes you feel so old.
Got one unmuted.
Who's that? Somebody has to explain Randolph Barnes for me now.
Okay.
I thought it was Mickey's friend Randy.
Is that a code, Randolph Barnes? No.
It's Mickey and Cindy. I mean, Cindy and Randy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whatever.
We're enjoying their conversation.
Folks, at the next one, since your poems are good enough to think about, I'd like to have more time in between the poems because I find myself responding and reacting, and I can come up with cogitating. But I really want to absorb what you're saying before the next poem sort of sits on top of what I'm thinking about. If they were bad poems, on the other hand, you could come as fast as you want.
You can have them printed. Noelle.
That's not the same thing. I have
Okay.
them printed. I have them. That's not at all the same thing
All right.
because I'm present as the
I
best.
do want to
can
point
be
out though that if you open there's a little chat thing at the bottom of the screen. If you put your cursor near the bottom where it says chat, you can, for anyone who doesn't know, there's links.
Yeah, I saw that, and then I would be concentrating on writing the chat while you're reading, or sending someone a message while this is going through. So I thought, well, I'll just wait, and because you're going to do it again, right?
You're working against me, Noelle, because I've never been in a poetry reading that wasn't too long. So I read them fast.
I'm all right about reading it fast.
Well,
I'm at time in between, and then I'll back up.
Yeah, we just we want to do it fast so that we don't want to lose anybody. I don't think we did. Did anybody? We would have. I like this because when somebody leaves, I have their name. Before. That's great.
I was told specifically on Facebook that we wouldn't be tracked for coming and going.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they told me not to say anything. I was like, oh, you can come and go get a drink. They're like, no, don't give them permission to go. We won't get them back.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of you sending out different instructions to different people too. That's great.
Where's my
The poets? Did you like this medium?
I thought it was great. I thought it was the best.
Yeah.
I like
it. Come and go when they want to, and and the idea that had we figured out early on that if I read all my poems and then Bill read all his poems, that dries up really quick, and you can't bounce from one poet to the next like we did in a regular reading. So there were a half dozen reasons why I think this is the best poetry reading medium I've ever seen. I'd like to stay with this.
I would like to stay with it, except I can't, we can't go out to a bar after we've done it. That's what I don't like.
Yeah.
Little drawback there.
One needs the refrigerator.
Right.
Maybe we should.
All about laptops. We'll just do this format in the bar next.
We all could, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't like this idea of this Zoom. It's all BYO,
Yeah. You don't have to drive home, right?
Well, no, that's true. You don't have to drive home. Oh, well, yeah, I like it. It was cool. And
Great. It was great having this opportunity. I mean, I'm not sure I would have gone out, but being able to stay at home and listen to great poetry is wonderful.
You also have to remember that it's been a long time since we've had a chance to be with James. James has lived in Kathmandu for a long time, and he's one of the original members, and it's just great that you could read with us, James. Loved having you here.
It was worth every minute of waking up at 4:30 in the morning And I don't think I've seen Bill Derge in at least 10, 12 years. So this is really special.
Has it really been that long? Holy
I think so.
Samoans.
Yeah.
Hi,
You know,
Sandy.
in Nepal, there's an actual.
Yeah, that was Sandy. Come back.
There's a. Oh, hi, hey, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi.
Hi, Sandy.
You know, here.
Brought him a beer.
She brought me a beer.
Now we
But
just
Oh,
need tater
excellent.
tots.
this is not my usual beer, by the way. I bought this for my son,
We need the tater
who has-
tots from that
who has
bar.
no taste whatsoever.
Hey, Bill, I've got a whole case of this.
Well, that will do. That would have. Can I, too bad we can't just pass it to the screen, right?
Yeah, well, it's a Corona Light though, so it's
Well,
only
like, yeah.
like sniffles and a slight headache.
No coronavirus, right?
No, no.
Yeah, is that stuff?
I heard that, Dad.
Because no one wants to drink the Corona.
No, their sales have actually gone down. They did at first.
Oh, now you
Hey, Ben's here.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Hi,
Hey.
Tommy. Hi, sweet. How you doing? You see the show?
We caught some
Good.
of it.
Ah, wonderful.
He's grown.
He sure has.
Are we going to get a printout of Mr. Hopkins' poem?
James, where
Oh,
are
yeah.
you? We lost. Where's James? James was.
I'm right here.
James, yeah.
Did James leave?
Are we
He
gonna
probably
get
went
a
back to
printout?
bed.
No, he was saying something a minute ago. We're.
I'd like a copy of his poem.
Yeah, I was looking for him. Where you at?
I'm right here, Wayne. I'm
Okay,
right
gotcha.
here.
Gotcha.
I thought you
We
went to
lost you in
bed.
the middle of a sentence last time. What were you saying?
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, sure. I'm happy. Shall I send you a copy? I just wrote that poem yesterday morning, so I don't have
Fresh and new.
it printed. But
I hate you.
I'll send it to you, Wayne, and you can send it wherever
Gotcha.
it wants to go. You know, but what I was trying to say before is in Nepal there's a police enforced lockdown. It means you can't even leave your house. And I've been in the house for months now. People kind of sneak out in the evening after dark, but seeing this many people is really shocking for me and such a pleasure. It's been really a wonderful way to start the day. I'm just so happy to see all these faces, especially Wayne and Bill and Mickie and Drew, who I've met in person. Thank you again for that.
Namaste, James.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna sign off, but it's wonderful to see everyone and be safe, yeah, and be creative.
Say hi to Pooja.
Thank you.
Yes, say hi to Pooja for us, James.
Yeah, you know she's the one in this poem. She's
Of course, yeah.
asleep right now. Okay.
Say hi to the parrots too. We'll see you, James.
Yeah. Okay, see ya.
Oh, it's not responding.
Okay, introduce yourself, lady. Who do we have on there now? She froze.
Heather?
She's there. That's Heather.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm on.
Hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
I don't know
Hi,
you,
I'm
but-
Heather. I'm from
Hi,
Merced,
Heather.
California. I was invited by Nichole. This was amazing. Thank you for sharing your
Oh,
words. It was
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, Mickie has some
Yeah.
exciting news he shared at the beginning of the week. He just got published.
Oh yeah, a couple more places.
Again, yeah.
Yeah, again.
Been on a roll. He and
I started sending out at the end of January, and I think as of right now, I've got 19 poems published since then. So,
Way to go.
January.
very
It's the way to
good.
go.
Congrats.
thanks.
Where's that thing with the? Choom, 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 choom.
What are we doing?
Wayne's looking for something.
Yeah, actually, I was looking for that thing where you can clap. There he is. Reaction.
Oh, that thing. The
There you go.
reaction. Right.
Yeah. That's Wayne
I'm
clapping.
giving you a thumbs up. Drew, I didn't know that Wayne had a son, so this is exciting.
Yeah.
Are you the only one?
What's that?
Son and a daughter.
Oh, son and a daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Son and a daughter.
So is it still? Hey, Drew, is it still snowing in Wyoming?
Laramie.
No, we got a freak June snowstorm 2 nights ago that basically took out all the trees here. It took out an unbelievable amount of trees here.
Wow.
So we're driving through. It looks like a hurricane came through on the East Coast. You're like driving around trees as you go, but no, Wyoming is it's like Mordor or something. It doesn't want you here. It wants you to leave. It's not interested. You're continuing to live here comfortably and peacefully. So that's our escape plan is come back in the fall, and then hopefully we'll be able to get together with everybody.
Frankie, where's Frank? Frankie, thank you. Thank you. Frankie's the best.
Frankie is the best. Wait a minute, I'm going to find my thing there.
Runs Lucid
Frankie
Beings
is the
dance,
best.
and when we did that last thing in Embodiment, she did things said like everybody get a purple shirt and wear it and stuff the poets don't usually think of. But by the time we were done, I felt like took a village to write a poem, because I've been criticized for not being emotionally engaged with some of my poems. So to watch these dancers work out the emotions of a poem, it's been stunning. It's been a whole new door open for me. It's been great.
Me too, and now I'm stuck with a purple shirt. It's been great.
You both look great in those purple shirts, though, so you get to keep them. And I currently have all of your ties for
you're right.
dances, so hope you're not going anywhere because I have all of them. So
I love it.
I don't use a tie except for a funeral and a wedding. That's it. So.
I told you.
Or a dance.
I had a young guy tell me once, yeah, those clothes you have in the back of the closet will come back in style, but no, old guy, it's not you who's going to bring them back.
And you still won't look cool wearing them. I'm really excited about next week, though. The dance is going to be
good. Yeah, that's going to be good.
Is it the same set of poems, or is it a whole different set of poems, or somewhere in between?
She killed us. She killed us. We've been working our tails off. It's a whole different set of poems.
Nice.
I have been working them pretty hard. Yeah, it's a whole different set. They sent me a bunch of things, and I just read a whole lot of it and pulled out what I thought was going to work. I picked poems that specifically had a sense of place, that I felt like, oh, that lives somewhere, that in a specific room or a specific emotional content. So that's how the poems were selected. And fortunately, everyone that I picked, they said, okay, too. And then they've been in a pretty grueling process with me. I've been calling them to Zoom meetings to meet with the dancers and give movement feedback, which some of them give more freely than others. They're like, yes, so that's good.
I have a picture.
Very, very sweet, very, very positive. It's always very good.
I have a picture of you recording your poems at SkyStage. See if I can put it close to the webcam. Here they are. Social distancing at SkyStage.
Yeah.
Recording.
Masks in the works.
Nice. Now we just need a handful of musicians, because that's an album.
Yeah, and then they let me do crazy things. Like, I'm like, okay, everybody has to go to SkyStage and record your poems. You're going to be on video and audio, and this time I need you to wear a blue shirt and bring a mask. And,
That's awesome.
I'm surprised they're still putting up with me with all my demands. So
you're number one, Frankie.
Here's another.
I'm surprised they don't make you figure out the dances on the giant kitchen table.
I know. Well, there is one at a table, right, Wayne?
There you go.
It's one of Wayne's.
Absolutely.
That table is magical.
Umbrella.
You have to hold it still when you put it up there. Let us look at it again, Maura. Put it up there again, and
I can't see what I'm doing there.
Yeah, it really has to be still.
There we are.
There's everybody in the masks. That was right before we robbed the 7-Eleven.
Nice. You're not supposed to say that part. Plausible deniability, Dad. Everyone's wearing masks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really. It's funny you said that.
Bill, are you going to play the clarinet again?
Am I going to play it?
The clarinet at the next one?
I am not going to play clarinet right now. No.
No, the one next week.
Sure, I'll do it next week. No, I'm not going to. Yeah. I have a new clarinet now. I'd love to do it. Yeah, it'd be great.
Where's
Well, I
Paul
heard you
Pickard?
say it, so.
Paul Pickard. That's my nephew.
Your nephew Paul Pickard just came on here and said he thought it was a great reading. So I'd like to ask him if he wants to become a poet. He can sit with us at that kitchen table, which is the same kitchen table we started at in the late 80s. And nobody will let me put a tablecloth on it now.
Damn tootin' we won't. No,
vibration
I
of
will
the
not.
poems coming off it.
Those poems have to soak into that wood. It must be like 6 layers of paint on that table, though, right?
Be careful, Paul. They will pull you in. I am not at all a poet, and I've accidentally won, I think, 2 slam poetry competitions now at my father's insistence.
Yeah, you did. Because your father was the judge, but that.
He can get a good poem out of anybody.
I voted for myself.
I know.
Where's Jerry
He was
Caford?
stuffing the ballot
Caford's in here
box
too.
first,
Caford won the last one. When Caford won one and I didn't, I thought that's it. We're not doing them anymore. I just saw Jerry here. You here, Jerry?
Yeah, he was here. Yeah,
he was here. Yeah,
might have gone away.
Say hi,
he
Jerry.
left.
Thank you, Maura, for inviting us to host the Lit Night and letting us.
My pleasure.
I stayed such a beautiful
I
place.
think we.
There might be another one in. We hope to have a truncated season of sorts. You know, we might have to limit capacity. We'll see, but and then you guys could come back in. I think it was October.
Yeah.
We don't have a host set yet, or that was going to be you guys again, like you did last year. It was nice to have the last one in the fall with Slant Light.
Is that in the fall?
Good stuff. Well, fingers crossed on that. We will probably be back in the DC area by that time. Hopefully, we can come out and see you guys in person.
Absolutely.
But we will certainly tune in next week to see the dance recital with poetry, and we're excited about it. So, thank you guys so much.
Great.
It's lovely seeing everybody
Thanks,
again.
Drew. Good seeing you.
Thanks for coming.
Hey.
Awesome. We'll catch you guys next week.
And here we are.
And thank you,
The only
folks.
ones left. I don't know.
Few
My
folks.
mom.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Hi. You got way cool points just now.
She's having wine.
Yes.
Not a bad idea.
Me too.
Where's
me
Percy?
too.
We haven't
We
seen
can't have
Percy yet.
Bud Light. I don't know what this is that Bill's bringing in.
Oh,
We put
that-
it in a glass so it could be fancy.
No, this is not Bud Light. I abandoned
moved
the
on
Bud
now.
Light.
Okay, all right, that's good news. I thought you put it in the glass to be so
Oh,
you
no.
didn't have to look
Yeah,
at
that
the
would
can.
that would give it some class, wouldn't it? Right. I can't.
Nichole, I didn't know you had a doctorate like Jill Biden.
What?
Have a what?
I didn't know that Nichole has a doctorate, a doc ed like Jill Biden. She doesn't use her moniker.
I know. I said the same thing. I was like, "You're so impressive."
Doc. Yeah, we should
The
call you Doc.
expectations low.
Call you Doc from now on.
Come out of nowhere. Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah, that's
Nicole.
Dr. Dowlearn. All right.
Nice. You did great. It was
Who is
nice.
Dan
Okay.
Grant?
It's my husband. He's in the other
Oh,
room.
right. Sorry,
John.
Dan. I keep doing that. I didn't
You can
recognize
come
you.
into the. Do you want to just come into
Okay,
the frame?
so why doesn't he show his face? Why doesn't he
I don't
show his
know, where
face?
Is he scared?
I'm having a
There
bad
he
hair
is.
day.
How you doing?
Yeah, his hair is pretty.
So we're gonna have like a pre-show for before next Friday. Is that it?
What do you mean?
Um,
What kind of a pre-show do you want to have?
Well, I thought you said we were gonna have a preview of.
Oh, yeah. If
Yeah.
if you're available, I was thinking it might be nice to test it out. there's a less that could go wrong because we're not doing it live. So as long as I can successfully share the video, I think we'll be okay. I don't think we need a dress rehearsal, but I thought it might be fun if poets want to join dancers and we can all, you know, because we haven't really actually all met together, all 8 of us at any point. I've seen you in different groupings and you've been working with your dancers. But if you're around next Thursday, I would love for you to join us for a little preview, if you want.
Embodiment available to people who are here tonight and might want to see that. I thought that turned out well. That was when we got together with the dancers last year, and I think I've got that in Dropbox or something. We could make embodiment available if somebody really wanted to see the stuff we did last year, which I got a real kick out of. I thought it was great.
You have a full recording?
Yeah, I think it's short, a couple minutes at the end or something. Yeah, but I have almost everything, Maura.
So, Mickie, you recorded tonight?
I think so. When I set this up, it was supposed to be recorded in the cloud, so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That's all right.
It says in the upper left corner on mine, recording.
Right.
Already? Oh, it's recording now. Oh, great. I should do something.
Also, can I just go, poets, can I just go on record that say your feedback was that they wanted more time between poems?
Yeah, that was the feedback,
Again, you know,
But it's like an awkward silence, you know, kind of.
I
It's Noelle,
know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
There's no such thing as enough time between poems. Poems should not be read 10 to an evening like that, you know, so you're kind of
it's hard.
With. In fact, I don't think it should be done without dancers and furniture and stuff too.
I was trying to move quickly, but I realized that I'm pretty limited because I have like 4 steps to do. I have to mute the one, cancel the spotlight, unmute the next, redo the spotlight. So there's actually like, I just need that 10 seconds. I can't really cut it down much shorter than that. So good to know. That's about as fast as I can make it happen. Yeah.
She can get a major project done in a week and a half.
Maybe. I have a lot of editing to do. All the dancers are dropping their final footage into the folder. You can check it out if you want. But I'm looking at like, okay, now making the dances, you know, working with you guys, that's the easy part. The editing is the hard part. So.
All right, I think it's time for me to say good night. Yeah. Time to check out. Frankie, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thank you for all the work you did, Nichole.
Yes, thank you, Nichole.
And Maura, thank
everybody.
We'll see you again soon. We'll see you again on the 19th for sure.
Yeah.
Is that a good one?
No. Try harder, Bill.
There. Mwah.
Good night.
I can't do that. Goodbye.
Bye.